Establishing a deep felt sense of safety is the ground for healing trauma, but it's what comes next that's as important, if not even more. Trauma is a disruption in the rhythms and cycles of your internal organs and your nervous system. It creates an inner compression that not only affects your overall health, but also affects your relationship with others and with the flow of your life. Rhythmic movements and cycles are fundamental to your growth. Things like getting a good night's sleep, the rising of the sun, your own heartbeat, and even the simplicity of your breath. Your need for rhythm is non-negotiable for your health and self-regulation. It's so ordinary, you don't even notice that it's the very basis of your everyday life. Think of all the players, all your organs, your nervous system, multiple body systems, depending on rhythms and cycles, getting together to play, self-regulate, and coordinate an inner conversation to play a great song. Now think of losing contact, connection, and rhythm, creating static and noise, and that's chronic stress and trauma. To heal compression, we rebuild multiple nervous system rhythms into an unbroken continuity like ocean waves, timelessly moving in a field of rhythm. That force must be in the background in any healing endeavor, releasing compression from your body to reconnect you to the field of a larger whole with nature, a field of emergence from which all of life unfolds. If you want to know more about emergence, nature, and neuroscience, I've included a link in the description below for a great podcast from RadioLab that's just really fun, fascinating, and informative. Disconnection is the problem, and continuity of rhythms and cycles in your body and in your life is the answer. So how do we stay connected in a rhythmic capacity, unbroken and unobstructed, to that field of the larger whole? It begins with expansive listening, where your whole body is the listening tool, because your entire body reads the field everywhere, within and without. It wants to communicate as part of the whole, not as separate. There's always a communication within me, with you, and with the environment, all at the same time. There are 5 cycles in this practice of expansive listening, and it begins with cycle 1, essential contact. Essential contact is connection with the core of your own being, your own essential goodness and wholeness. And it's that core that also holds the potential to expand out into your life and out into the world. There are unique moments of experiencing your own essential goodness, like the immense sense of love in holding your own baby, the exhilaration and grace of riding your own horse, and the expansive solitude of a walk in the beauty of nature. In therapy sessions, together in dialogue or craniosacral or visceral on the table, you may experience that sense of one ocean of human connection and 2 connected human waves. Essential contact is particularly helpful in working with nervous system states of chronic freeze. Symptoms here range from low energy, weight gain, sleep disruption, digestive disturbances, autoimmune issues, anxiety, depression, but also relational conflicts as well. In chronic freeze, the dorsal vagus nerve, as part of the parasympathetic nervous system, is in a state of immobilization that disrupts the rhythms of your internal organs. You can think of the vagus nerve like the roots of a tree, because 80% of its job is to send signals upwards from the abdomen and the chest up. Sensory signals in surveillance of the state of the environment of your core. How's your heart beating? How are your lungs breathing? Your liver, your kidneys, your thyroid, and what about the degree of inflammation? And how is that body regulation or dysregulation directly changing and affecting your mental processes, your moods, and even your emotional states. As part of the autonomic nervous system, you may have heard that the parasympathetic is in charge of rest and digest. It's in charge of putting you into a more receptive state, whether you are digesting, chewing your food slowly, meditating, reading, or writing. But it's also in charge of putting you into a more receptive state in relational contexts as well, communicating and listening. A key phrase in essential contact is don't rush your roots. Roots are essential. Give them time to grow to support the movement forward in your life of the next 4 cycles. Lend space to your dorsal vagus and to the receptivity of your parasympathetic nervous system, because from the strength of regulated roots, continuity emerges as an ocean of growth, groundedness, openness, and inner stability. Mark Kalina, MD, primary care physician. You are known for listening to your patients, and I want to know how that happens for you in your office when people first come to see you.
First of all, what a thing to be known for. Listening to people is a whole different thing, and I think it's the whole thing in primary care. It actually isn't even just the most important thing, it's really the whole thing. Everything is inside of each person, and they can find it, and if they touch it and they can believe in themselves and get their own voice, when people can speak their story and they're witnessed with unconditional acceptance, someone's just there with them at all points, then the healing happens.
I know in a real practical way, Mark, one of the things that happens when a patient first comes in to see you is a straight handshake, looking directly in the eyes, a warm smile, and a great beginning to know that this is going to be a different meeting than maybe they've had before.
I heard this lecture on presence in 1994. It is the magic. It is being there 100% and looking in their eyes, seeing and accepting them, regardless of what words are said. To me, that's where it happens. I am lucky now. I have a scribe. I can be 100% there, and they know it. They feel it. They see it they feel it in the handshake. They see it in their eyes, in my eyes, and we just go slow. They're front, center, and everything. So being there with them on their terms, it really, and this is the goal right off the bat, when I walk in the room, the whole thing has to happen from a place of safety. They need to feel safe. Might take a little bit, of course. I think it often does because they come from a traumatized place, but it's being safe so they feel trust, and at the end they feel 100% known. So safety, trust, and being known.
Mark, we've been talking here about roots, and I know I'd like to hear a little bit about your family roots. So are you ready to talk about your dad?
And sure.
I know your father was an expansive person.
He was. He came from a poor neighborhood, poor family, poor. He didn't have money for school. He paid his own way through school, and he became a dentist, an epic dentist. He advanced dentistry at a time when that really wasn't happening. Now it's kind of the norm, and I see it out here. There's lots of people who do what he did then, but he came from a very small, very limited place, and he expanded and went big, always. We liked the mythic sports characters. We liked Michael Jordan. We liked winning the championship. It was all about sports and winning, and he liked the big games. And he wanted me, trained me, raised me to be a competitor and to go big and win.
So your father was expansive and your mom was a listener.
Yes, I'd get overwhelmed by my dad, and he gave me these talks in the basement, and then I'd come up the stairs, maybe a little overwhelmed, a little bit scared and timid, and there'd be my mother would be, and she just had this capacity to listen, to hear, to hold me, to hold space for everything that my dad wanted me to become, which again was overwhelming, and she was the one to listen and be there.
Join us next time for the second session, Granular Contact.